Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and next to YouTube, Twitter is my most used social media platform. I don't go on there to fight, I go on there to follow creators that I like and just see what's going on. And I've been a user, I think, since the beginning of the service, or pretty close to it. And the other day I subscribed to the blue tier, primarily to see what it was all about and also to get my blue check mark. And the reason I did this is because I think there might be some opportunities for independent content creators like myself to have more reach on the platform. And I'm eager to see if there's an opportunity for me there to start putting some of my video content onto Twitter, especially if they start doing monetization and other things. My goal in this video is to show you what blue looks like from the user perspective, offer you some analysis on what I think is going on with Twitter and where it might head in the future. But my intent here is not to comment on political issues or what my opinions are of Elon Musk. I am looking at this purely as a user and a creator to see if there might be some opportunities here for independent voices in the future. So let's get to it and we'll see what this is all about. Now, I did poll all of you to see among my YouTube viewership how many of you are using Twitter on an active basis, and it looks like most of you are not. About 52% said no, another 10% used to, but are no longer on the platform any longer. And I think this is a really important point to start with here, is that Twitter, although it gets a lot of attention in the mainstream press, is not something that a lot of people are using. And Twitter's small size versus their competitors makes it a very difficult business to operate. They've only been profitable 2 out of the last 12 years. And if you add up their net losses since 2010, they're about $1.3 billion in the hole, or at least they were when Elon Musk took on all of that debt in addition to ownership of the company. Now, one of the things that Twitter rolled out a couple of years ago was the blue tier. Now, Twitter marketed this subscription plan to their heaviest users, and in exchange for the $5 a month, you would get access to the features that Twitter's power users really wanted to see. And let me show you what you get for your now $8 a month with Twitter Blue. So right now I'm on my Twitter account. They give you kind of a nice little screen here about all the different things you can do. The thing that I noticed immediately, first of all, is that the ads don't go away, which I think they should if you're paying a monthly subscription fee. More on that later. And if I send out a tweet here, the first thing I experienced was the fact that Twitter suddenly slowed down. So you can see I went to send this tweet and it didn't immediately get posted to my feed because when you have Twitter Blue, it enables this thing called undo tweet. This was before the edit button was available. And so by default, it holds your tweet for like 30 seconds to give you a chance to take it back before it puts it on your feed. So now it just got sent up to my feed 30 seconds later. Now you can turn this off and you can set different variables as to when the undo thing takes effect. But I think for people that don't often put their foot in their mouth, this is probably a bit overkill. And it was kind of disjointing, to be honest with you, because I was so used to tweets going out right away and then suddenly paying for the subscription plan and then getting this slowdown in the user experience was something that I did not appreciate right away. And I have since turned that off and just re-enabled it for the demo here. But you do get the edit button now. So while I'm on my tweet here, if I go over here to edit tweet, I can now say now editing, and then I can repost that tweet without having to make a new one. And that, of course, goes through right away. So the edit button, I think, is very useful. For me, it's probably not worth paying the money for, but I think there are a number of people who post long Twitter threads who would really value having that edit button, and for them, it might be worth it. And speaking of threads, if you are a Blue subscriber and you jump into a long Twitter thread, you will be able to roll these up into something more readable. So here you can see a bunch of posts from the same user in a thread with a bunch of pictures attached to it. And if I go over here to the reader button, which is part of the Blue subscription plan, I now have something that looks a lot more like a blog post and is much more readable. There are third-party tools that do this kind of a roll-up, but I think having it integrated into the interface is pretty nice, but it's up to you to decide if this is worth your $8 a month. Now, Twitter allows users to keep bookmarks of tweets, so if there was a tweet you wanted to refer to later, you can add it to your bookmarks here. Now, if you are a Blue subscriber, you can create folders for your bookmarks so you can organize them out by topic. So for example, If I wanted to add this tweet to my list of rocket tweets, I can go over here to bookmark, and then if I add it to a folder here, I can add it to the rocket stuff folder to keep things organized. Now, Twitter's biggest followers are people that are in the media or are very much news junkies, and they have a news section here that helps find articles that you might want to read. So you saw that thread roll-up feature, that's mentioned right here, but they also have something called top articles. And what this does is it grabs all of the articles that people I follow are sharing or talking about. And so I can very quickly see what people in my network are currently chatting about through the platform, which presumably would be a little more relevant for my interests and certainly a lot easier to get to here versus having to scroll through the feed. And you can see right now the biggest news is the Twitter meltdown that is happening as I'm recording this video, and I can tap on that to read the article. Apparently there's also some revenue sharing that Twitter does with certain news outlets, and this is something that Musk has kind of talked about expanding to other independent outlets in the future, but we haven't seen much about that yet. Now, as a video creator, I was excited to see that I have the option to upload longer videos up to 10 minutes in length, along with having those videos run at a 1080p resolution. This was something I could not access as a lowly free user before. I have not yet done much with video on Twitter, even with this access, because nothing that I do is monetizable yet by the Twitter platform, but that might change in the future, and I'm hoping they extend the video length further because most of my videos tend to go beyond 10 minutes, but perhaps I'm a little too old-fashioned and maybe should do some shorter ones now too. Beyond that, you have the ability to put an NFT profile picture up with your profile. That's not something I have done yet, and I don't really have any NFTs to put up there, but maybe I'll play around with that at some point. On the Extras tab here, you have the ability as a Blue user to customize your navigation, so you can change the way things look here at the bottom. So for example, I can jump in here and decide that I want my bottom screen to have the home button, search, notification, messages, and maybe I'll add top articles and monetization down here. And if I click on save, what will happen now is my interface will change to this, so I can basically get Twitter working the way that I want, which was nice to see. You can also organize your icons at the bottom of the screen to put them in the place that you want them to be in. So I can grab, for example, that articles icon and move it over to the right here. You do need to make sure that you click the save button after you make changes because it lets you jump out of there without a warning if you neglected to do that. You can also change the theme of Twitter. If you don't like it's blue, you've got some other colors you can pick from here. And you can also change the color of the Twitter icon. They even have seasonal icons here too. So if you have a certain color decor on your home screen, apparently you can adjust the Twitter icon to look the way you want it to look. So there's not much here for casual users of the Twitter platform, but if you are a power user, there might be a feature or two that you would like to have, and this is how you can get access to it. I'm hoping that the video program expands on Twitter, and if it does, certainly that longer video upload privilege and, of course, the 1080p resolution does have some appeal to me. And it's not out of the ordinary for social media platforms to offer a paid tier with more features. LinkedIn, for example, has their premium tier, which starts at around $30 a month. Now, I subscribe to this because I found LinkedIn to be a really good way of reaching out to people in the industry that I cover. It's easier to get a reply on LinkedIn, believe it or not, than it is on email. And when you subscribe to this tier, you do have the ability to send what they call in-mail to people that are not in your network or who are not following you. And that has proven to be a very valuable thing for me and my business, so that is why I pay for it. You also get some other features like seeing who has viewed your profile if they have their settings enabled for you to see that. And then you get access to all of their learning courses. And a few years back, LinkedIn acquired lynda.com, which was one of these online video course providers. So there's a lot of good stuff in there that you get as part of that subscription, even though it is expensive. But I think it's expensive for a reason. One is likely to tamp down on spamming from people that want to abuse that in-mail feature, but also many people who are using LinkedIn are using it for work, and their companies can write it off as an expense, so they can pretty much charge a higher rate for that. And of course, the $29 plan is just the entry point. They have some other tiers depending on what kind of needs you have, whether you're an employer or a headhunter and that sort of thing. Now, LinkedIn also has a little icon they give you to let others know that you are a premium subscriber, and it shows up in the corner there on my profile, that golden in, and that is very similar to the blue check mark that we'll be talking about in a few minutes with the Twitter blue tier. Now, YouTube also has a paid tier, and this one is designed more for people who consume a lot of YouTube, because on YouTube, more people consume content than create it. So I certainly watch a lot more YouTube videos than I upload, and so the premium tier centers around what most users do on the YouTube platform. And the best part about YouTube Premium, which we've covered in the past, is that everything is ad-free. You never see an ad at all unless the creator has a sponsorship in their video. Videos pop up immediately. It's a very good experience, especially as YouTube has been adding more and more ad slots to videos over time. You'll probably see a couple on this video. You get the ability to download videos for offline viewing, and they give you access to the YouTube Premium Music service too. So there's a lot of value packed into that subscription, and that is one that I think improves the experience, which is why people pay for it, to get a better experience on the platform. Twitter is starting in that direction, but they're not quite there yet in offering, I think, the kind of value that something like YouTube Premium does. So now let's get to the elephant in the room, which is the new feature that was added to Twitter Blue since Elon Musk took over, which is the blue check mark for people who pay for the Twitter Blue subscription. So now on my profile, I have a verified check mark that you typically would have only seen before on what Twitter would call a notable person, whether it's a journalist who works for a newspaper or an actor or some other celebrity, or somebody who Twitter employees just arbitrarily handed check marks out to because they were doing that for a while. And this is going to dramatically change the way Twitter operates, because remember I mentioned that Twitter's user base isn't all that big, and that is because it is really more of an amplification platform. It became a place where people in the mainstream media gathered to exchange information and for people who were notable in society to communicate with those media folks. And what's happened over the years is that it's become a bit of an echo chamber, in my opinion, and it's been very difficult for independent creators to get the same reach on the platform if they didn't have a check mark next to their name. Now, I don't know if the Twitter algorithm was treating blue check tweets differently than non-blue check tweets, but if you go into your notification setting here when you become verified, you will notice that there is a tab here to only see things coming from other verified users. In other words, you can filter out the rest of the world and only talk to others who were granted this check mark. And remember when I said that Twitter's user base was probably the smallest out there of the major social media platforms? It's likely because there wasn't a lot of growth opportunity for people who didn't have the check mark to get discovered. And YouTube, of course, I think does a great job with discovery no matter what the size of your channel. Instagram does some great work with that as well. Here on Twitter, if you didn't have the blue check mark, your stuff's not getting amplified and there's no growth potential. And I think that's why Twitter was in such trouble for all these years, because it became this echo chamber of just quote unquote notable people talking to each other, and we were just spectators to that. And that's not how the modern media works any longer. There needs to be opportunity. And I think that's why there's some potential here for things to get better, although at the moment they're a total mess. And if you look at some of the tweets that have been sent out from a couple of notable people, you can see they're very upset that now all of a sudden these people paying to get verified are sneaking into their feeds here. And this is going to dramatically change the way this platform works. It might be a total mess. It may fail completely, or it could grow the platform significantly. But unfortunately, this pay to get verified thing is not working the way Elon Musk had intended. His hope was that the $8 would have been an impediment for fake accounts and spammers to come onto the system. And what's happened is a lot of fake accounts have come onto the system impersonating major brands and celebrities with a blue check mark, no less, because there isn't any verification happening at all when you apply. And so at the time I'm recording this video, Twitter has paused the paid verifications. When I signed up, all I had to do was do an in-app purchase on my phone. I didn't have to submit a driver's license or any other kind of identification like you would for one of these cryptocurrency exchanges or a bank account or something. It basically just took my money and gave me the check mark, and that was it. So they do need to do some work here if they intend for this pay to verify yourself and verify all humans is something that the platform is going to do. Because at the moment, I can tell you, they're not doing any verification at all other than taking your money. Now, for his part, Musk says that his goal for Twitter is to level the playing field on the platform and elevate citizen journalism. And all of that sounds good to me if it actually happens. I'm going to keep my subscription to Twitter for a couple of months here and see what happens with it. I would really like to see longer video uploads and monetization opportunities, because I'm always looking for new platforms to put my content on. And if Twitter becomes one of those places, I'm very eager to start doing that, because Twitter hasn't been a place that I could be discovered or even have a chance at being competitive. And if that changes, I think that's going to be good for me and many other independent creators. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Brian Parker, Chris Allegretta, Hot Sauce and Video Games, Logic KGR, Tom Albrecht, and Amda Brown. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.